Welcome to Fresh Talk News Channel. Today, we dive into the latest news update. Change is in the air at the Oregon Capitol. Parking spaces are opening up, and legislative committees are canceling unneeded meetings. The 2025 Oregon Legislature is experiencing a brief moment of calm, a quiet before the storm. But as Representative Jamie Kate, R. Lebanon, warned, this is not the end. Many of the most high-profile bills of the session, covering critical issues like taxes, firearms, and other divisive topics, are still stuck in committees such as Rules, Revenue, and Ways and Means. Today is the 109th day of the legislative session, a critical milestone. It's also the deadline for scheduling work sessions on many bills that are still alive. Without action, these bills could die. But remember, nothing is final until the legislature adjourns. Under the Oregon Constitution, the session can last no longer than 160 days, which means the final deadline is Sunday, June 29. Oregon Public Broadcasting's Dirk Vanderhart reported that lawmakers have been heavily relying on placeholder bills. Over 600 placeholder bills were introduced this year, making up nearly one-fifth of all bills. These placeholders are essentially blank slates. They allow lawmakers to reserve a spot for a bill, even if the actual content isn't ready. For instance, Senate Bill 8 is just an 80-word directive for the Oregon Health Authority to study behavioral health and report back to the legislature by September 15, 2026. But what do these placeholder bills really achieve? Sometimes, they are just a safety net, a way to ensure lawmakers have the flexibility to address emerging issues even if the deadline for introducing new bills has passed. For example, if a new behavioral health crisis arises, they can modify SB 8 to take action. However, even these placeholder bills are caught in a web of uncertainty. Why? Because much of the legislative process is now in a holding pattern, waiting for the latest quarterly economic and revenue forecast. This forecast, set to be released Wednesday morning, will determine how much money lawmakers can spend over the next 2 years. Across America, economic concerns are rising. Gallup reports that 3 out of 4 Americans believe the economy is either slowing down, in a recession, or even in a depression. Oregon's governor, Tina Kotek, emphasized this uncertainty, saying, "We're all waiting to see the revenue forecast to decide what resources will be available." She was discussing critical priorities like housing and homelessness legislation. Governor Kotek also expressed concerns about the impact of federal funding changes. Nearly a third of Oregon's state budget relies on federal funds, and the Trump administration has been moving to restrict that funding. Kotek warned that if Congress follows through with severe budget cuts, states like Oregon will face serious financial challenges. As of Monday, 3,432 measures, including 3,277 bills and other resolutions, had been introduced during this legislative session. The House has passed 238 bills, while the Senate has approved 196. But with just 51 days left in the session, the pressure is mounting. The Senate and House only hold floor sessions 4 days a week, but a lot more is happening behind the scenes. Republic. Paul Evans, D. Monmouth, highlighted this in his newsletter, saying, "Just like icebergs, the visible activity is just the tip. Most of the real work happens below the surface." He explained that lawmakers are in the heart of the session, debating, negotiating, and trying to build consensus. Every issue has its own group of advocates, from coalitions and nonprofits to passionate individuals, each pushing for their own priorities, but balancing these priorities is a challenge. Passion is a strength, but it can also be a barrier when it clashes with the realities of limited budgets, a complex political environment, and the need for compromise. Evans emphasized that progress often comes in small steps, and even great ideas can be stalled by politics, pride, or miscommunication. Right now, lawmakers are wrestling with the most difficult and divisive proposals. They are negotiating between the House, Senate, the governor's office, Democrats, Republicans, and countless interest groups, all while preparing for the political storms ahead. Thank you for watching Fresh Talk News Channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more news and updates.